Is fórstóir agus eistóir éireannach Joanne McNally. Tugann sí ó baile áclaí, tá sí cáiliú mar go raibh sé ar an telefís ar Republic of Telly agus déanann sí seomna is Roderick ar comma. Hi Joanne, thank you so much for your time and for offering to answer some questions for us today. Colin will start with some questions.
Oh, you're welcome and thank you for having me.
Hello. When did you realise you were funny?
When did I realise I was funny? Well, I should probably say there's a lot of people who don't think I'm funny, but we don't care about them. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't see you guys. So I think I remember a girl when I was in school, when I was in primary school. For some reason, it stuck out to me. I have no idea why. Her name was Joanna Joyce, and we were only about 8 years of age. And I remember her saying to me, "You're really funny. You should be a comic." And that's not why I did it, but that's my first memory of someone saying, "You're funny." So I was quite young. A little show pony, I think. I just liked the attention.
Yeah. Why did you choose to be a comedian?
I didn't really choose it, to be honest. It was someone brought me into it. I was in a play. I always wanted to be an actor, but I don't think my parents really thought it was a great career choice. They just assumed if you're an actor, you just die of starvation. So I would have loved to have. I always wanted to go to the Billy Barrys. Do you know the Billy Barrys? No, are they all gone now? Billy Barry's like this little drama school for kids, and they used to always play the spoons on the toy show in the late, and I was obsessed with them, and I really wanted to go. We were too far away, and I really wanted to be Annie. Do you know Annie, the orphan?
Yeah.
That was my dream. It's still my dream. I'm probably a little big now to play Annie, but so I always wanted to perform. So I was in this play, but I never really considered stand-up. I mean, who would be mad enough to actually want to choose to be a stand-up? It's a bit of a weird job. And I was in a play, and then this other stand-up who's kind of successful came and saw it, and then he suggested I get into it, and he brought me on tour with him to learn the ropes. And then it just kind of started ticking along, and I was getting booked, and then I was enjoying it. I mean, for the first year I didn't really enjoy it, but then I was enjoying it, and then I was like, okay, this is what I want to do now. And now it makes me very happy.
Yeah. Do you prefer stand-up comedy or being on TV shows?
Stand-up comedy. Every time. Being on TV shows it can be a bit boring, to be honest. You're just kind of sitting around. And there's no live audience. Plus you can say what you want on stage. You can't say what you want on telly.
Yeah.
They're quite strict with you on telly. So I'm way more relaxed on stage, but it's hard when also with telly, when you're in a room doing stand-up, you feel like you're kind of connected to the audience, like you're kind of friends for that hour, that you're in this little private, almost like a little private WhatsApp group. Whereas on telly, you feel you're quite exposed to like way more people who you can't connect to them because they're in a satellite somewhere in their sitting room at home. So I much prefer live stand-up.
Yeah. What was the most memorable moment in your career so far?
Most memorable moment in my career?
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, there's been a good few great moments and loads of not great moments. Probably doing the Jonathan Ross show, maybe, which I did just this year. And everything feels, it's one of these things you're kind of always trying to progress and kind of get better and get more work. So when you get those little wins, it kind of keeps you going, because you don't always get the wins, so you lose faith sometimes. So it's nice when you get booked for things like that, and you're like, I do really want to crack the UK. That's my aim. Yeah. So the Jonathan Ross show, I think, so far.
Yeah. Well done. That's all my questions.
Right.
Okay. They were great questions.
How was it growing up in Folláine?
How was it growing up in Folláine? It was very nice. Like, I think my parents, they didn't have loads of money, but my mum wanted to she's from Cork, so she's all about the social climate. No, that's not fair. But she Cork people, she's like, do you ever heard the joke about the Cork person saying, "My son, the doctor, is drowning"? No. Ask your parents. But so she wanted us to live somewhere nice, and I guess she thought Folláine would be that. So they saved up all their money and put it into this house, which was a good move on her part. And then she wanted me to go to Loretto Dalkey, which is where I went. Very peaceful out there. It's almost like the countryside. And we had the sea beside us, and we used to go to the beach a lot. And it's a nice place to grow up because there's a lot of space out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to ever afford to live there, but I'd like to, maybe. Huh?
Do you have any pets?
Any pets? Well, I'm obsessed with dogs. I love dogs. But unfortunately, we always had pets growing up. We had dogs our whole lives, always huge, big dogs, and then they all died, obviously, because that's what dogs do. And then my mum had, the last dog she had was called Roxy, who was this terrier who I think had some sort of personality disorder. She was crazy, and my poor mother couldn't handle her at all because she's in her 70s. And for Roxy to even be a little bit tired, she would need to, I'd say, run the sugar loaf about 4 times. So she was just always demented, running around the house, banging into things. And she died last year from old age when I was in Thailand. I got the news to say Roxy was dead, and I was so upset. The problem is, I'd say probably happier with the dog than a kid at this stage. But the problem is, because I travel so much, I can't really have a dog, which is one of my big life regrets. But my plan is that maybe if I get married, he can mind. I need a man who's just going to be at home so he can mind all my animals. Like I'd love a full-blown petting zoo in the house. I'd love sheep, llamas. I'd love a sloth. I get great crack out of animals. I'd loads of rabbits growing up. I was walking up Choláiste Hill one day and we met this builder. I was only a kid, and he's like, "Do you want a rabbit?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on." So I didn't know where he got the rabbit. He just put it in a box for me, and I brought it home. And it ate. I remember I let it out into the house, and my mum was working, so the baby, we used to get minded by this woman, and she didn't know what to do. So I let the rabbit out and was running around the house, and it ate all the phone cables, chewed through them. Anyway, my mother came home. I can't believe it. She was like, "Yeah, you can keep it." Then a couple of weeks later, didn't it give birth to like 9 bunnies? And I'd say it was his rabbit, and he knew it was pregnant, and he was trying to get rid of it. So he gave it to a kid up Folláine Hill. And anyway, the whole thing was a disaster then. And then I think she tried to eat her kids. I can't really remember how it worked out. Anyway, they're all dead now. But no, I love animals.
Did you enjoy going to school?
Huh?
Did you enjoy going to school?
I loved school. Loved it too much, I think. I was too relaxed in school. So relaxed that I had to move schools. Because my school thought I was too relaxed. So they wanted me to go to a different school. I loved it. I was the class clown. I really was. And I had a great time. And I went to an all-girls school. Your school mixed? Yeah. Well, I went to an all-girls school, which I really enjoyed because I guess it's just whatever you're used to. But I had the run of the place, and I was class prefect just before I left, and I had great friends in school, and I was good. Like, I mean, in some of the classes I was quite bold because I was kind of disruptive, because I was just always performing, I think. So there was some teacher, a lot of the time I had to sit on my own, you know. There'd be like a Joanne desk at the top of the class or down the back of the class. My big struggle was maths. I was never good at maths. I'm still not good at maths. I was good at English, and languages would be kind of how my mind is kind of better at those kind of things. But I always really struggled with maths. And I remember I used to sit on my own at maths because they were worried I'd cheat. Which I totally would have. So they were right to do that. But yeah, so maths was my big problem, but loved English and loved reading and that kind of stuff. And I liked Irish, but I wasn't particularly good at Irish. Unfortunately. You're so lucky you go to an Irish school. I would have loved to have gone to an Irish school.
Have you met any other comedians?
Any other comedian?
Yeah, like good.
Say it again. Have I met what?
Have you met any other good comedians?
No. There's no other comedians in the world, Ronya. Only me. I've met none else. No one else. No, I've met loads. I don't have a load of comedy friends. I don't have a load of friends in comedy because the truth is comedy can be kind of competitive. So you kind of, a lot of people just, I kind of stick to myself, but I do have some. And I like, it's funny, I probably am quite drawn to female comics for obvious reasons. And I'm very good friends. I have a comedian friend over here called Sean, who I'm very pally with. And who else would I hang out with over here? You do get to know them because you're in the clubs. Do you know what comedy's like? Someone said this to me. Roisin Connaughey said this to me. She's a very good comic. She said, comedy is like going to school. Your comedians are a relationship with each other. It's like going to school, but you never leave. So like, I'll be working with these people on and off for the rest of my life because you get booked for the same stuff and you do the same festivals and you do the same TV shows. And so it's good to be just sound and get on with people. Because if you've got beef, you know what I mean? No one wants beef, and then you're turning up and it's real awkward and no one knows where to look and everything. So,
if you could have
any other job?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I mean, I always wanted to be a writer, like a journalist. I think if I wasn't in stand-up, I'd probably be just writing. Also, I would love to be, sometimes I do fantasize about being a dog walker because I pass through Clapham Common every day, which is this huge, big park. And there's always people there walking dogs. And I'm like, that just looks like heaven. No stress, no worry, because I'm usually on my way to do some gig to, you know what I mean? Like these kind of stressful environments. I'm like, what a dream to just drive a van around, picking up dogs and like hanging out with them and stuff. Or a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist, something. But everyone says that because they like, I did study Greek and Roman civilization studies in college, which I actually forgot about, but that was weird. I don't know why I did that. Also, went to France for transition year. To learn French, and I always kind of fantasized about being a French teacher. So that's actually loads of other jobs.
Do you have any tips for becoming famous?
What kind of famous?
I don't know.
You haven't thought through. Don't be famous. Now, do you know what? There's a lot of money in it, but I don't know. Like when you look at people up the top, I sometimes wonder, are they really having a good time?
Yeah.
I mean, they can't really go anywhere without getting hounded, and you know, when you pull back the curtains on it, I don't think it's ever as glamorous as it looks or as fun as it looks.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, like, get your Instagram followers up. No, I'm kidding. Don't do it. Buy Instagram followers from Russia, Ronya, and then you'll look like you've got loads. That's what they do. I've seen them do it.
Would you ever go on Love Island?
No. I would I even host it? I did have an audition once actually to do the voiceover for, I think it was Love Island Holland or something. I can't remember what it was. I mean, obviously I didn't get it. Would I go on Love Island? No. Can you imagine the stress of trying to build all those abs? I'd crack under the pressure. No.
They're all my questions, so it's
Oh, great.
How do you stay healthy during lockdown?
How do you stay healthy during lockdown? Like physically or mentally? I don't know if I've done either of them. So, well, I do live in a house with 5 women who I really like. So that's good. So I've got company. I think company is very important, especially for someone in my role, my job, where you're on your own, like pretty much all the time, you know, traveling to gigs, coming back from gigs. It's a very insular job. You've no office to go into, you've no peers, you know, there's no like water cooler where there's people hanging out where you can chat. There's none of that. So I get kind of needy then for company, just like people buzzing around you. So that's been nice in the house that we've all been here and getting on and making it work and like hanging out with each other. So I think company is the big one for me. And then also sometimes I do get quite lazy and I realize I haven't left the house in a week and I'm like, get out. But the best thing is that once I find if I lie down, it's really bad for my mental health because I find it very hard to get up again. Like, do you know, in the bed, you might take to the bed in the afternoon for a nap.
Yeah.
You're too young to be napping. At my age, we nap. That's what we do, right? And then I'm like, oh God, I could just lie here now for the day and watch loads of Game of Thrones. But I'm like, no, get up. So once do you know what's great for the mind is fresh air. You can't beat it. It's like, boom, you're back in the room. So for me, it's company and fresh air. And it's nice having the park nearby. And also dogs. My friend has a dog that I borrow sometimes. Sometimes I will borrow people's dogs. Like one of my friends has this dog called Lola, who is so inbred that she snores when she's awake, but I still love her. So I hang out with her sometimes.
Do you have any famous friends?
Do I have any famous friends? Well, Vogue is a very good friend of mine. She's famous. Do you know Vogue? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell her Colleen didn't know her. I'll be like, the girl didn't know who you were. They knew who I was. See, Vogue's much more famous than me, so this never happens. It's always the other way around. I think that's kind of it. I don't really collect famous friends. They're never as much crack as you think they'll be.
Where will you travel after lockdown?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't know whether it'll be, I mean, I'm hoping Edinburgh happens in August, the Edinburgh Festival, because I really need the stage time. I was due to go to Australia for a month of shows just before lockdown, but I don't know if it's going to be a long time, I'd say, before we get back into Australia. I'd love a holiday. Wouldn't it be nice to get a bit of sun, a bit of tanning? So maybe somewhere cheap and cheerful. España. Although I think the whole world would be going. There'd be queues. We'd be queuing out from Dublin Airport to probably from Folláine to even get into the airport. It's going to be so busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, somewhere hot. That's what I'd like. I'd like a swimming pool. Nothing fancy. A pool, a nice one of those pink swan lilos. Sit in one of them. Drinking champagne. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Well, you can and you can have Alco Pops.
Do you support the Dublin team and do you like sport?
I wish I liked sports more. I'm not big. Like, I went out with a lad once who was mad into Dublin GAA. So I did develop a bit of a taste for it. And I did go to Croke Park with him a couple of times. And I think I spent the whole time looking for chips, which they didn't have, which I was absolutely appalled by. It's funny. I think the South Side, I mean, I'd probably get murdered for saying this, but I don't think they're as into GAA. So we don't, like, when I went out with that guy, he lived on the South Side with me and he was very disappointed on the days of the Dublin matches because there was no flags anywhere or anything. Whereas the North Side was like covered in them. So I guess I haven't been as exposed to it. But I do enjoy it. I love the camaraderie of it. I have gone to matches and stuff, and I like watching the women's GAA team. But no, like, I mean, I wouldn't be a massive sports head, but it is something I am trying to change because, you know, we all need hobbies. Plus, it's nice to get out and about. Do you know what I mean? And like, I do remember once I went in. It was one of the Dublin matches. I went into a pub on the north side. I can't remember what it was called. And I was the only one not in a Dublin jersey. And I stuck out like a lead balloon. And I was very self-conscious. And I was like, oh my God, it's like I've walked into some Dublin cult. I felt like a tourist in my own city. It was very embarrassing. So if I do get into Dublin, if I do, and I know you guys had Philly on as well. I've worked with a couple of the players a couple of times, which that's one thing I'm going to change about myself. I'm going to get into sports. Thanks, girls.
How do you look after your mental health?
How do you look after? Well, I suppose what I was saying earlier about the dogs and the walking, and I have a diary that I write in if I feel like I'm spinning out of control or worrying about something too much. And also friends, I find it like I have some great friends that you can ring and they'll kind of talk you down if you feel like you're in a bad place or having a bad time. Your friends. It's always your friends, isn't it? Oh, and I have a therapist. Sorry, I should probably add that in. But I mean, everyone in my age has a therapist now. It's grand. We've gone very America.
Tell us about your new show, Clear History.
Clear History, it's gone now. I think it's over now. There was only 5 episodes. Clear History was a show where we had to tell embarrassing stories, and then Kevin McGahern, with the host, decided whose was the most embarrassing, and then he would clear that story. And I think it was myself, one team captain, and then Colin Murphy was the other team captain. And it was good fun. We got to dress up, and I got to wear loads of makeup and heels and expose myself expose my most embarrassing moments on national television. So I don't know what the full repercussions of that are yet, but I'm sure it'll come back to bite me in the ass at some stage.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Joanne. We really appreciate it. It was so nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much, girls. It was so nice to chat to you, and I really enjoyed that. And I love the questions because they were very different to the usual questions I get asked. I've never been asked about my pets before, which I really liked. So thank you, girls.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.